Welcome to Political Beatdown. I'm Ben Meiselas, joined by Michael Cohen. What a day it has been. Elon Musk calling for Donald Trump to be impeached, posting publicly, repost that Trump needs to go. You have also Elon Musk posting.
And then to turn around.
Also posting that the reason why the Epstein files have not been released is because Donald Trump is covering up all of his connections with Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, this all began, of course, with Elon Musk criticizing this disastrous budget bill. Elon Musk continued to attack the budget bill over and over and over again. Donald Trump then held a press conference with Friedrich Merz of Germany in the Oval Office. It was just like an absolute disaster. We'll talk about that press conference later. I can't even imagine if you're from Germany and you're watching that, or frankly anywhere in the world, or have a brain here in the United States, you're watching that. It was just so utterly embarrassing. But Donald Trump then said that Elon Musk has Trump derangement syndrome and that Musk is acting crazy because he's no longer in the White House, and that had Elon Musk respond to that and basically call Donald Trump pathetic. It was kind of a war of social media posts back and forth. Donald Trump then posted that basically Doge was all a sham, and Elon Musk should have been cutting his own government subsidies, basically saying that Elon Musk's business model is purely dependent on the government. But by Donald Trump saying that, basically admitting that Doge was a complete and total fraud. And that's when Elon Musk responded, Epstein, impeachment. And as we're live right now, Elon Musk continuing to attack Trump over and over again. Now, Trump just held a press conference and in a very un-Trump-like fashion refused to take questions. He looked very sickly, kind of rushed off of the dais where he was sitting. And Cohen, let me just get your reaction to all of this, and I'll say it because I know you're a humble person and you probably won't bring it up on your own, which is that you called all of this. And I know you won't bring it up, Cohen, so I have to bring it up for you. You're too humble to say that you got it.
I appreciate you, Ben. You have no idea how much I appreciate you and this entire network.
Everybody knows one thing about Cohen, that he would not bring that up. So I have to bring it up for you, that not only did you call it, but you continued to call the different moves, including yesterday, a piece you wrote on Substack where you said it's going to blow up even bigger, to like just wait 24 hours when it goes nuclear. And sure enough, I did. Nuclear.
So yesterday at 8 a.m. in the morning, which is when my Substack posts come out, I went ahead and I wrote an article which is called Richest Man in the World, Yet Still Powerless. And I go on to talk about, when Trump leans in and he whispers and, he gives you that look in the eye. He's not really looking at you. He's looking at his own reflection in your pupils, right? But I go on in my article and I want to read the part from you that, thank you, Ben, because yes, I would have been humble and not gone on, even though I do have.
You never would have. You never would have done it. I know.
Here's where Elon Musk doesn't understand what he's doing. In fact, he probably should give me a call because I'm the only one that's ever actually beaten Trump and know how to deal with it. But here's what I wrote. Trump has the full weight, because it's not over, by the way. Trump is really now going to go nuclear. Trump has the full weight of the federal government behind him. The Department of Justice, retooled under his second-term loyalists, isn't an institution anymore. It's a weapon. You cross Trump now, you risk the FBI knocking down your door before your Tesla can even self-drive you to safety. Elon made the classic mistake of believing that he was untouchable, that his billions would insulate him, that being the richest man in the world meant that he could speak truth to a man who believes that he is the world. Now, let me go on to say, I go on and I make even more predictions here. The reason that Trump, and if Jeremy, if we can go back and put that that little post that you had up a second ago, Jeremy, there's a reason why, and I want you all to hear it first on Midas Touch Network with me and Ben on Political Beatdown. It's why this is the place to go. The easiest way to save money in our budget, billions and billions of dollars, is to terminate Elon's governmental subsidies and contract. I was always surprised that Biden didn't do it. Now, what is he turning around and what's he saying here? That Elon committed fraud. Elon is going to be the next Subway sandwich. He's going to be, as the old adage goes, you can indict a ham sandwich. All right. He is going to go after Elon Musk. He's going to make all of his claims that there's nothing but fraud by Elon Musk and so on. And that's why he now went ahead and he attacked, for example, the space program. Of course, Elon comes back and he says he's now not going to, continue to shoot rockets up, for NASA in the United States. This is going to be so ugly. But again, as I wrote in my Substack, Elon may be the richest man in the world, but you are never, ever richer than the country, and you are never, ever more powerful than the president of the United States, especially one who doesn't believe in the rule of law, who only believes in himself.
Here's what we're learning. It's being reported by the New York Times and elsewhere that Bannon, who has been one of the most vocal critics of Musk's for months, said that he is now advising Donald Trump how to cancel all of Musk's contracts and launch several criminal investigations and civil investigations into Elon Musk. Quote, they should initiate a formal investigation of his immigration status because I am of the strong belief that he is an illegal alien and he should be deported from the country immediately. Bannon said in a phone interview. Bannon also said that the Trump regime should immediately investigate Elon Musk's drug use, as reported by the New York Times, his effort to get classified briefings on China from the Pentagon, which was also reported by the Times. Bannon said Musk's security clearance must be immediately suspended during the course of this investigation. This is going to get very, very bloody. Elon Musk also said that Donald Trump would not have won the election if it wasn't for Elon Musk. Elon Musk said, I gave you the election. Without me, Trump would have lost the elections. Dems would control the House and Republicans would just be 51-49 in the Senate. Such ingratitude. And then Musk continued to make post after post on Epstein. Trump's covering up Epstein. Trump's got the connections with Epstein. Mark this post for the future. The truth will come out about Donald Trump and Epstein. And we've been reporting here now for, years, frankly. But almost every other day we report about the Department of Justice cover up of the Epstein files. They're deep sixing those files for sure, because we know from what's already been released, Donald Trump's name is already, in the data and documents that have been released. So Cohen,
I will say that the way that Trump now has Bannon, right, and so on, Elon should probably give me a call if he wants to not get his ass handed to him, because nobody has an idea how bad this dogfight is going to get. This is going to be like one of those old World War II dogfight movies, right, where both pilots are going to get shot up and bloody, but one ends up surviving in the end. Elon thinks that he knows what he's doing. He has no clue. He doesn't know how low that Trump and Bannon and Miller and the rest of these enablers, sycophants, and acolytes are going to end up going. Pam Bondi's already drafting complaints. The Department of Justice, Kash Patel with the FBI, they're already going to their internal judges in order to get warrants and so on. They has no idea exactly what's coming at him. This is going to be, as they like to say, a shit show.
Elon Musk posting that Trump will be causing a recession the second half of this year as a result of Donald Trump's disastrous tariffs against the world. You mentioned this earlier, Cohen, that Elon Musk saying that he's decommissioning the SpaceX Dragon spacecraft immediately, and that's the spacecraft that supplies goods, resources, supplies to the International Space Station, among other things, basically saying, I'm going to destroy, NASA, the United States space program.
It's also the manner to which those two stranded astronauts were able to return to Earth. I believe was using that Dragon rocket by Elon Musk. I mean, again, this is Ben, we're going to have something to talk about every single week going forward, because this isn't going to stop. This is just going to escalate every single day.
Well, there's no doubt about that at all. We also know that Donald Trump has unfollowed Stephen Miller. No, sorry, Elon Musk has unfollowed Stephen Miller, and Elon Musk hired Stephen Miller's wife to work with him. No word yet on what's happening with Stephen Miller's wife. Elon Musk also just unfollowed Charlie Kirk. One of the interesting things is that Donald Trump's, made those posts on his Truth Social. A lot of Donald Trump's getting ratioed on his Truth Social. So Trump posted on Truth Social, Elon was wearing thin. I asked him to leave. I took away his EV mandate that forced everyone to buy electric cars that nobody else wanted. That he knew for months I was going to do, and he just went crazy. Now, all of the comments on that Truth Social, and now there are thousands. By the time I posted that, it was 107, but there's literally like tens of thousands of comments right now. They're all pretty much anti-Donald Trump, which is interesting. Why? And from Trump's social media, why are you picking a fight with one of your best allies? So stupid. Another person on Trump's platform writes, please don't display your differences on social media. Sharon writes, oh man, don't jump all over Elon. Annette writes, what is wrong with you? Please stop. The thousands of comments all look like that. And Elon is still very popular among that MAGA base. I mean, he's not popular the way kind of Trump has the command over the cult. But Elon's attack on this budget bill for it causing a massive, massive deficit, it is resonating with these Trump voters, which is an interesting thing to see right there. Jeremy.
Except Ben, there's one that before we go to a clip here, I also just want to bring to everybody's attention to remind it, because that's what we do here on Political Beatdown. We remind you. You're reminding when Trump was acting like a used car dealer, not too many, weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, when he had a whole bunch of Teslas in front of the White House, right? And he was walking around them telling people that they should buy it. And he had the Tesla trucks, and he had a whole slew. And Elon even gave him a Tesla. You remember that? Now all of a sudden, many months ago, I turned around and told him it was going to come to an end. The lies are going to catch up to Trump. But seriously, Elon doesn't understand how to take advantage of this situation. It's so good for us, except the one thing, Democrats cannot take their foot off the gas just because dumb shit like this is going on. What we really need to do is we need to capture the moment.
Well, I see people who say, don't be distracted by this. We still need to focus on the fact that this budget is a total disaster. 15 million people, 10 to 20 million people, potentially 15 million people are going to get kicked off Medicaid, SNAP benefits, food stamps. People are going to lose. Don't forget that that's happening. Don't get distracted. And my view is we can walk and chew gum at the same time. Like we can cover this, and then we can also cover that. And I think what's important for people to know is that we're not distracted at all. This is an important story that needs to be talked about, because Elon also knows where the bodies are buried. So Donald Trump is going to go full bore, attack Elon Musk, throw all the government investigations at him. Elon Musk was in the room where it happened. Okay. Elon Musk knows about the dirty deals. Elon Musk knows what went down in the Middle East. Elon Musk is aware of very sensitive communications. And so this is something that we need to focus on. And when Elon Musk, who is basically serving as a co-president, is calling for Trump to be impeached, that's a big story. Okay. You need to focus on that. That doesn't mean, by the way, I'm going to stop doing videos on the Trump regime disappearing migrants. I'm going to do videos on that. It doesn't mean I'm going to stop doing videos on what's going on in the various court cases, the legal developments. I'm going to talk about all of that. It doesn't mean I'm going to stop covering the fact that Donald Trump reversed an executive order signed by former President Biden to protect women to get emergency abortion procedures if they're about to die. Donald Trump says they should die. That's what Donald Trump signed an executive order. You are not to provide, if you're a hospital, emergency abortion services. If you are a woman who go to a hospital and need it to save your life, you die. That was yesterday.
Ben, can I finish one thing up on Elon Musk? Something that
we're going to keep talking about Musk. We're going to keep talking about Musk.
All right.
I just want our viewers and listeners to know we're not distracted. Okay, like those things will still be top of mind.
Yeah. So the thing about what you just said, where Elon was in the room, he has a lot of very sensitive information. It's for exactly that reason that, as my grandparents used to say, Trump looks epispacate. He looks all fucked up. He looks pale. He looks sick. He knows that Elon was in the room for all of these dirty deeds. And he's concerned that Elon is completely out of control right now. For whatever the reason may be, he's completely out of control. And Trump's biggest fear is that exactly what I had ended up doing, which is bringing the information to the forefront, that Elon will do the same. That's what Donald is right now afraid of. So what did he do to me to keep me quiet? Exactly what is going to end up happening to Elon. These investigations right now, nobody's sleeping tonight. Let me be very clear about that. From Pam Bondi to Kash Patel to Todd Blanche to Emil Bove, the entire government, especially the Department of Justice, they are all right now running through every single legal book that they can find to come up with whatever the charges be. And they will make it stick. They are going to put Elon literally through hell. And they are going to do everything they can, not just to destroy him, literally discredit, destroy, to denigrate, to distance themselves. We see it. It's the Trump playbook. I talked about it in my book, Revenge. I talked about it in my book, Disloyal. I've talked about it here on Political Beatdown. Ben, how long have we been doing this show together?
We've been, when you have so much fun with your co-host, it feels like you don't even count the days.
Yeah, well, since we started talking,
about 5 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, that's how long that I've been talking about this. And you know what? Sure as shit, here we are today.
So, Cohen, here's what I hear you're saying as well, because it's now being reported that Steve Bannon is giving Donald Trump advice on how to take down Elon Musk. What I'm hearing you say live on Political Beatdown is that you're offering Elon Musk the roadmap to take Donald Trump down based on the inside information that you have. Do I hear you right, Michael Cohen?
You hear me absolutely correct.
So tell him right now what you would do.
Elon, there is nobody that understands this game better than I, especially when it comes to Trump, especially when it comes to Steve Bannon and to Steve Miller. All right. You could bring on 1,000 people. What I forgot, they haven't learned yet. And let me tell you something. Without the information, you're in trouble.
Michael Cohen telling Elon Musk, I will show you the roadmap, how you beat Donald Trump, from someone who has beaten Donald Trump before. You've all heard it live here on Political Beatdown. I want to show this clip right here, Michael Cohen. Well, look, I think that's why, a channel like this and a show like this is important. You've lived it. You know the players, you know the people, you know the roadmap, you know how to do it. If we're trying to get the best information about situations like this, you go to an expert. When there's a hurricane that hits, you go to the hurricane experts, right? When you have a situation like this, you go to Michael Cohen. You know the roadmap, and you tell the Beatdown Brigaders here first. You know what was interesting is 2-3 weeks ago, where you had Kash Patel and Dan Bongino seeming to be a little pensive now talking about the Epstein files. These were the two people before becoming the FBI director and deputy FBI director, respectively. They were extreme right-wing podcast hosts who were the ones who were spreading the stuff about Epstein. And here's what they said 2 weeks ago. Let's play this video.
You said Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide. People don't believe it.
Well, I mean, listen, they have a right to their opinion, but as someone who has worked as a public defender, as a prosecutor, who's been in that prison system, who's been in the Metropolitan Detention Center, who's been in segregated housing, you know a suicide when you see one, and that's what that was.
He killed himself. You want me to? I've seen the whole file. He killed himself.
I know it's hard work.
So, Patel, are you going to release the Epstein files, or is Donald Trump in them? Let's play this next clip.
The other thing on the internet is the Epstein files. What's the answer to that?
The answer to that is the same as everything else. I'm not going to withhold information from the American public ever, but I'm also not going to rush to get it out there in a format in which they can't rely on it. So on the Epstein matter or any other matters, we are diligently working on that. And it takes time to go through years of investigations, years of political maneuvering, and years of cover-up to get the American people what they deserve. And that's what I'm going to give them on everything.
Yeah.
You know, and moments ago, you had MAGA Mike Johnson. Jeremy, I just sent this to you. If you're able to pull it up, because I just want to show everyone what MAGA Mike Johnson is doing. MAGA Mike Johnson didn't want to answer any questions in front of the press. So he's holding a baby while walking around. He's like, I got a baby. Like, I can't answer these questions right now. Look, there's a baby that I'm holding right here. And dude, MAGA Mike Johnson, the most pathetic person in the world. And I want to show people all of these clips as well of MAGA Mike. Here's the photo. Mikkel Schnell posted this. Speaker Johnson just gaggled outside the House chamber while holding his chief of staff's baby. Doesn't this just sum up these MAGA Republicans for you, that this is what they do? And by the way, Elon Musk was using, his kid X as a prop in the Oval Office to avoid asking questions. Then Trump was doing that with one of his granddaughters. It just so perfectly defines and describes them. Cohen, we've got a lot to discuss. There's a lot of breaking news that's happening. We got to go to our first quick break. You and I are going to come back, talk about this, talk about what went down with Friedrich Merz, the German chancellor. It's like the most, it's hard to say if it was more embarrassing than Zelensky and the South African president Ramaphosa. It's up there for sure in its own way. I want to remind everybody, patreon.com/political beatdown. Also subscribe to the Mea Culpa audio podcast, wherever audio podcasts are available. Also subscribe to Michael Cohen's YouTube channel at The Michael Cohen Show. We'll be right back after our first quick break.
All right. So picture this. I'm on my way out the door, trying to look halfway respectable for a meeting, and boom, Marlo, you've heard Marlo, my neighbor's cat, sprawled across the hallway like he pays rent. Cute little furball, right? Wrong, because 5 minutes later, I'm sneezing like I just walked through a field of ragweed in a wind tunnel. I mean, I don't even own a cat, and I'm still dealing with cat allergens. The whole thing is just totally unreal. This episode of Political Beatdown is brought to you by Pacgen. Now, if you've got a cat, or in my case, a neighbor's cat who thinks he's mine, you don't have to surrender your sinuses to the feline overlords. You see, almost 20% of people suffer from cat allergens, and 3 in 4, they're not thrilled with the so-called solutions that are out there. That's where Pacgen steps in. Pacgen's cat allergen neutralizing spray, it's like sending a tactical team into your living room. And it doesn't mess with your immune system. It goes straight after the actual allergens in your home, and it breaks them down with no pills, no shots, no voodoo, just science. You see, it turns out that the problem isn't the fur. It's the saliva. Cats groom like it's their job. And FeLD1, that's the protein behind most cat allergens. It's all over their adorable faces. Now, Pacgen's patent-pending whisker block protein, it binds and it neutralizes these FeLD1. No harsh chemicals, no side effects. I literally sprayed some around last week before my buddy who dropped by. And he's one of those that I'll die if I breathe near a cat type. And for literally the first time, no red eyes, no wheezing, just him wondering if Marlo had moved out of the building. It's effective, safe, and made for people who love their pets or their neighbors' pets, but not the sneezing fits. Got a dog? Dust allergies? Packagin's got sprays for that too. I love that they're not trying to trick your immune system. They're just handling the source of the problem. Smart, simple, and safe for both people and pets. Your pets aren't just pets. They're family, right? So get the relief you need with Packagin. Head right now to packagin.com/beat for an extra 25% off your order and an exclusive gift for our listeners at checkout. That's PACAGEN.com/beat for an extra 25% off your order and an exclusive gift. One last time, Packagin, PACAGEN.com/beat for an extra 25% off and a gift auto apply to checkout. Because listen, if I can live peacefully with Marlo, you can live peacefully with your pets too.
Welcome back to Political Beatdown, a very, very busy day in news here in the United States.
I think we may need to use some of that packaging, by the way, on Elon Musk and Trump. They seem to be allergic to one another.
I think so. Special shout out to our pro-democracy sponsors. Discount code in the description below. While all of this is happening too, Cohen, you have Friedrich Merz still in the White House. You have the Germany chancellor is here trying to speak to Donald Trump about helping Europe help Ukraine. Donald Trump made that post yesterday where it was basically a press release for Vladimir Putin. Trump's like, we had a good call. Vladimir Putin says he needs to strongly respond to the attack on Russia by Ukraine. Give me the attack on Russia by Ukraine. I mean, look, Ukraine launched a brilliant military operation that neutralized 31% of Russia's strategic air force. Who's holding the cards right now? It seems like Ukraine is. But Donald Trump is acting like Russia is the victim. And then Donald Trump in this post says he spoke with Putin earlier this week about helping with the nuclear deal between the United States and Iran. Trump has no other allies to do a deal with Iran with. Iran's rejecting Trump's proposal, which is a far weaker deal than Obama's deal with Iran. It has far weaker enforcement mechanisms and allows Iran to continue to enrich uranium. But I'm going to get back to Trump and Musk in a second, but just to show you what an idiot Trump is, Iran is allied with Russia. Those drones that Russia uses to attack and kill innocent Ukrainians comes from Iran. Why would Russia tell Iran that it needs to not build nuclear weapons when Russia is helping Iran? And the fact that Donald Trump posts that just makes him look so utterly stupid, and it's so humiliating for the United States. So anyway, Friedrich Merz, German chancellor, new chancellor of Germany, is in the White House while all of this is going down. Now, do you remember, Cohen, what was it, in February, where Donald Trump and Elon Musk, when they were having the bromance, and they went on Hannity, and they were like, no one's going to drive us apart. We know the left is just trying to drive us apart, but we're always going to be together. And Cohen was saying, all right, get back to me in 2 months and we'll see. Here, play this clip.
But sometimes you see two young children fighting like crazy. They hate each other and they're fighting in a park. And you try and pull them apart. They don't want to be pulled. Sometimes you're better off letting them fight for a while and then pulling them apart. And I gave that analogy to Putin yesterday. I said, President, they tried it, then they stopped. That wasn't. They have many different things of hatred. Actually, Elon called me. He said, they're trying to drive us apart. I said, absolutely. No, they said, we have breaking news. Donald Trump has ceded control of the presidency to Elon Musk. President Musk will be attending a cabinet meeting tonight at 8 o'clock. And I say, it's just so obvious. They're so bad at it. I used to think they were good at it. They're actually bad at it, because if they were good at it, I'd never be president. Because I think nobody in history has ever gotten more bad publicity than me. I could do the greatest things. I get 98% bad publicity. I could do, outside of you and a few of your very good friends, it's like the craziest thing. But you know what I have learned, Elon? The people are smart. They get it.
Yeah, they do, actually.
They get it. They really see what's happening.
Yes.
You see, Elon should have taken a little lesson from the Cohen playbook. He probably should have read both of my books, to be honest with you, because then he would understand it's never forever with Trump. You know, there's always people who question, yeah, but you were by Trump's side for over a decade and a half. You used to do his bidding. I want to be clear that when I did his bidding, we were talking about dealing with contractors, dealing with business, myopic real estate business, and so on. I'm not talking about on the level of government. I'm not talking about, Russia and Ukraine. I'm not talking about Israel and Hamas. I'm not talking about protecting him from going into schools. You know, there's a big difference between a contractor that doesn't do the work properly, at least in the boss's mind, whether I thought he did or he didn't, versus what we're seeing here with these acolytes. People have to understand that. But the point is, the playbook has been written. And I understand the playbook, because all Trump has done is steroid that playbook up to Project 2025. That's all that he's done. I understand the underlying factors. I understand the way Trump thinks about things. And with that, we have been so successful on this show, on this network, on this Midas Touch network, in calling out things prior to them actually occurring. And that's something that you can't get anywhere else. You see, everybody else that's out there, all these other channels, whether it's mainstream or lamestream or cable news, what they do, they report on what we talk about, on what Ben and I talk about. Why? Simply because they don't know. They don't know. They have to use somebody else's insight and information. And yet the people that they bring on, most of them have no clue what they're talking about either. It's basically their opinion. I'm not giving you opinion. I'm giving you facts predicated on stuff that had happened in the past. And as I said with Trump, the playbook, it's just a rerun. Just a rerun.
And then he uses people from the playbook, right? I mean, the main negotiator with Putin is who? It's Steve Witkoff, right? The New York real estate guy, who Trump was friends with, who was a developer in New York. It's like going to your buddy who's never done international diplomacy and say, hey, I want you to go and negotiate with Putin. And the guy shows up there 4 times now, 5 times. He puts his hand on his heart, Witkoff, again, with no experience on how to do this. Putin does things to just totally humiliate, Witkoff and Trump. Like, Putin has someone from Russia's intelligence agency be Witkoff's translator, and Witkoff shows up and he's like, are you from the embassy? And then Putin's like, yeah, she's from the embassy. And so he's literally with the Russian intelligence officer, becoming his translator, as Putin is mocking him in Russian. And who knows what the translator, like, they are making a mock. Putin goes on Russian TV and shows Melania nudes frequently on Russian state regime media. And then he calls Donald Trump up or Trump begs for the phone call. Putin takes the call in an elementary school in South Russia and then says, how's Melania? He says, this is true. How's Melania doing? I hear she's very respected in the world. I hear people really respect Melania. And then Donald Trump leaves that call. And then in a press conference, he goes, very good call. Putin kept on saying, Melania was doing people like Melania. It's like, dude, he's mocking you, you moron. And they're mocking the entire United States. It's a laughingstock. And I'm just thinking right now, what do you think Friedrich Merz, the German chancellor's he's calling back to, his cabinet in Germany. And he's like, what the hell in the world is going on here into the European Union?
He's saying to himself, he's saying, why the hell did I have to come today? Of all the time, it's like, geez, of all the days that I decided to come to visit the White House, I had to pick this day. Could you imagine? But you brought up a really good point, though, about this being top 3 of the most fucked up days possible. The first one, I still believe, was the disrespect and the stupidity that was shown with Zelensky. I don't think anything, maybe ever in the history of this country, will be as bad as that. I also thought probably second, better, even more so than today's, was with the president of Africa, where
South Africa,
where he turned around and he was like, "No, Mr. President, that's not correct." And so
you want to speak with? He goes. Would you like to speak with the white guy here, who's the white agriculture minister? He goes. Do you
see all of those crosses down the street? That is not what he said.
Do you think the white agriculture minister would be right here if we were doing a genocide on him? Tell him what's going on. And then the white agriculture Afrikaner minister goes, "There's not a white genocide going on." And Trump's like, "There is. But what's this gravesite?" Yeah, that was a trip going.
Yeah, I mean, it's just that, and then today's was just yet again another embarrassing shit show of lies, more lies, and then even more lies. We're talking to everybody. Everybody's coming to make the deals, the whole bit with the tariffs. So think about what we're going to be experiencing as Americans, what Ben and I will be bringing to you every Tuesday and Thursday right here on Political Beatdown, that you're going to see every single day on various different programs and shows here on this Midas Touch Network. You're going to see the feud between Elon Musk and Donald Trump continue. You're going to then start getting information about these tariffs or lack thereof, where every single day more and more items are going to become more and more expensive. Steel, aluminum, soft lumber, etc. He's going to continue to talk about various different countries that are coming and begging states, because as Howard Nutlick turned around and said the other day at a hearing, that everybody wants to be in America's market. That's just not true. All right. In fact, when they were asking him questions about Vietnam, he had no idea what he's talking about. This is the problem. Having Howard, and by the way, I know Steve Witkoff as long as I know, if not longer than Trump, over 20 some odd years. I know Howard 24, 25 years. Literally 25 years. I am 100% certain that Howard is so over his skis in this position. It's almost as stupid, not as, but almost as stupid as Trump appointing this 22-year-old kid who was, before this job, he was a gardener, and nothing wrong with gardeners, but you don't make them like the number 2 guy at the Department of Homeland Security and put him in charge of this.
22-year-old intern who now has one of the top positions in the Department of Homeland Security, tasked with stopping violent extremism in the United States. The intern is in charge, literally no experience. That's who is now doing counter extremism work for the Department of Homeland Security. And it's why.
Do you feel safe, Ben? Do you feel safe? To our political beatdown brigaders, do you feel safe that these are the types of decisions? Look, I know Steve Witkoff. He could negotiate the shit out of any contract that deals with real estate. He's a real estate developer. He's also, by coincidence, a lawyer. Let me also turn and say he used to be Trump's lawyer 20 years ago at the Trump Organization before he ended up leaving and then becoming his own guy. So, okay, is Witkoff over his skis too? Sure. Is Lutnick a successful Wall Streeter? Is he, is he more suited for the job than this 22-year-old? This 22-year-old has zero experience in anything. He finished college 11 months ago. I mean, if that should make anybody feel comfortable, bad enough having Lutnick as commerce, bad enough having Witkoff running around the world negotiating with wolves or bears like Vladimir Putin. But to have this 22-year-old regarding extremism, when that's what we're seeing is on the rise right now, no, I don't feel comfortable. And I'm pretty certain you don't either.
Did you see the Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick at the hearing yesterday, where Senator John Kennedy, no relation to the Kennedy family, MAGA Republican John Kennedy from Louisiana, who's like made up that fake voice that he does, and he was like, "Hey, what would happen if Vietnam got rid of every types of tariff, every type of regulation,
reciprocal."
Well, they brought it to zero, and they said everything is 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Would you be able to make a deal with them? And would we then do zero tariffs against them?" And Howard Lutnick's like, "Oh, God, no. God, no." And then it caught Kennedy by surprise. He goes, "But isn't your whole process about reciprocity, that it's equal?" "Oh, no, because that doesn't address the trade deficit that we have between the United States buying more from Vietnam than what Vietnam buys from the United States." And then the MAGA Republican senator's like, "But they're Vietnam. They're not as rich as the United States. They can't buy more stuff.
And
so what are you talking about here?"
And do you remember about 3 weeks ago when we were having this exact conversation, and I turned and I gave you the example that Vietnam, for example, produces Nike sneakers, and over in Vietnam it costs like $10. Here it would cost $100 to do it. That Vietnam doesn't really purchase much. They purchase food, they purchase stuff like that. But what they do is they export whatever products, like Nike products, that they can. That there can never be a reciprocal trade between the United States and Vietnam, that the whole issue is in and of itself stupid. It's as stupid as having a reciprocal tariff with the penguins over at McDonald and Herd Island.
Let's take a look at what Botox MAGA Mike Johnson had to say a few weeks back, or this is like maybe 2 months ago. Botox MAGA Mike on Elon Musk, because it's going to be clips like this, and we've got all the receipts that are going to be very, very damning. Going to be hard for Botox MAGA Mike to wiggle out of it. He may need another injection soon. Here, play this clip.
We wanted to pass a resolution that would effectively freeze spending so that the administration can continue its incredible work through DOGE and through the other efforts of the administration to go in and root out the fraud, waste, and abuse that we've been trying to target in Congress for decades. But we haven't been able to get to it because we didn't have the algorithms that Elon has. We didn't have the access to all the data and the funding. And so now the game has changed. So we needed to hold the line in what we're doing right now so that when we get to the next fiscal year, FY26, which we will begin work on immediately now that this is done, we'll be able to incorporate all those savings and all the new transformational kinds of policies the administration is working with us to bring about. So this bill effectively does freeze funding, except that what you said, it adds a little to defense. That's what Pete Hegseth said he needed, the Department of Defense, some flexibility and $6 billion additional dollars for the immediate needs. And it reduces non-defense discretionary spending by about $13 billion. So overall, a $7 billion savings to the American people. And Mark, we are just getting started.
Now, I saw somebody in the chat say, "I don't know who to cheer for." And my response is neither. You know who you cheer for? You cheer for the United States of America. You cheer for transparency. You cheer for the truth and the facts getting out. I've been doing a lot of interviews lately, and people are always saying, what's your advice to the Democrats and what's your advice to the left and how does the left and the Democrats win in the midterms? And I always say, look, so you know what my focus is on right now? My focus is on listening to what is impacting the people, to listen to what's affecting Americans and affecting people across the world, but what's impacting them and then fighting for them. Because if you fight for people, then the politics will fall in line. But you have to listen and understand what the people are going through. So to me, when I see Musk fighting Trump like that, I think I don't have to root for, I'm definitely not going to root for Trump, and I don't have to root for Musk. What I can root for, though, is trying to find out in a more expedited fashion than ever all of the corruption that was taking place to try to stop a disastrous budget bill, which I refer to as a murder bill, from being able to get passed. I want to stop future Trump horrors that could result in people being killed. And if this feud allows us to get information that could be useful to the American people, that is what Michael Cohen and I are rooting for. We'll be right back after our last quick break. We've got a lot more to discuss. I do want to talk about a little bit what went down with Friedrich Merz in the Oval Office. It was just a horrific sight. I want to remind everybody the Brother podcast will be on live at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. I'm sure we'll have a lot of updates on that show as well. Reminder to make sure you subscribe to Michael Cohen's audio podcast, Mea Culpa, wherever audio podcasts are available. Cohen's got a Substack as well, and Patreon, Political Beatdown, patreon.com/Political Beatdown, and at the Michael Cohen Show YouTube channel. Let's take our last quick break of the show.
So last week, I swung by my folks' place because I got that dreaded text. The TV's broken. Nothing's working. We think the cable company's out to get us. You know parents, right? So I walk in, and the input was on HDMI 3 instead of 1. That's it. Okay, click, boom, crisis averted, family peace restored, and I'm suddenly the son tech genius. Now listen, I love my parents, but helping them with tech over the phone? I mean, seriously, it's like trying to defuse a bomb in another language, blindfolded. And don't even get me started on video calls with the grandkids. I mean, every call starts with, "Can you see me?" and ends with, "Where'd you go?" Well, let me let you know, this podcast is brought to you by Jubilee TV, who happens to be the answer to our prayers. Jubilee TV connects your loved one's TV to your phone. So if the remote's acting up, if the channel's wrong, or they accidentally signed up for Spanish Netflix, well, you can fix it from anywhere. No apps to learn, no new tech. They just use the TV, same one that they've been yelling at for the last 20 years. Look, I got Jubilee TV for my parents last month, and it has been a total game changer. I mean, I can drop in virtually, put on their favorite TV shows. I can even help them join family video calls, all without being that kid who calls too much or not enough. I mean, they feel independent. I feel sane. Everybody wins. Meanwhile, their favorite feature? Easy video calls on the TV. No phone juggling of passwords. Mine? Setting reminders so they know that they're taking their meds and not missing appointments. I mean, it's like being present without being in their face. Look, your parents want to stay in their home. You want to keep them safe. Jubilee TV, it makes it possible for both of you. So head right now to getjubileetv.com and use code BEAT for $25 off your order. One more time, that's getjubileetv, GetJubileetv.com, and use code BEAT so that they know I sent you. Trust me, less stress, fewer panic calls, and everyone's watching what they actually want to watch. That, my friends, is a win.
Let's go back to that clip of Friedrich Merz and Donald Trump. And Jeremy, it's the one you played before when we kind of merged those clips together. When Donald Trump was telling the German chancellor what his phone call with Putin was like, and the way Donald Trump described it, he goes, "I told Putin that what's going on, it's like two kids playing hockey who are fighting. And, you know, sometimes you got to let the kids fight. What do you think about that? What do you think about that?" I'm watching this thing and I'm like, you have the chancellor of Germany who's rallying Europe to support Ukraine from Russia's unlawful invasion, and you've got Donald Trump there saying that this is like little kids. Here, play this clip.
But sometimes you see two young children fighting like crazy. They hate each other and they're fighting in a park. And you try and pull them apart. They don't want to be pulled. Sometimes you're better off letting them fight for a while and then pulling them apart And I gave that analogy to Putin yesterday. I said, President, maybe you're going to have to keep fighting and suffering a lot because both sides.
I just want you to think that this is the guy who said that he would end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours because he had such a good relationship. And his negotiating strategy, you even want to call it that, was to tell Putin, you're like little kids fighting. You need to fight more. And then, of course, there's the both sidesism over there. And here Donald Trump says that then Putin told him about Ukraine's drone attack. He said, we have no choice now but to attack, as though Putin's playing the victim. And Donald Trump is translating it as though Putin's like, now we've been attacked, so we must continue the war. I think we have a video of this also of Trump in the Oval Office saying that as well. Here, let's play this next clip.
June 6th, tomorrow, this is D-Day anniversary, when the Americans once ended a war in Europe. And I think this is in your hand in specific, in ours.
That was not a pleasant day for you?
No, that was not a pleasant.
This was not a great
in
day.
the long run, Mr. President, this was the liberation of my country from Nazi dictatorship.
That's true.
So,
that's true.
And we know what we owe you. But this is the reason why I'm saying that America is again in a very strong position to do something on this war and ending this war. So let's talk about what we can do jointly, and we are ready to do what we can. And you know that we gave support to Ukraine, and that we are looking for more pressure on Russia. The European Union did, and we should talk about that.
We will.
That was not the right clip, but it was. I'm glad we showed that clip. I'm not glad that it happened. Where Friedrich Mars is saying what a solemn day it is in German history. Tomorrow's the D-Day anniversary, and Trump's response was, that was not a pleasant day for you, not a great day. And Friedrich Merz is like, yeah, that was the liberation of my country from Nazi dictatorship. That's why I'm here right now, to try to tell you why we need to stop Putin right now. Cohen, two-finger salute. Who's it going to go to?
Well, there's so many people that are deserving of it, but it has to go to Botox MAGA Mike Johnson, first and foremost, for making his face freeze more than what the hell he was talking about. You know, we need to freeze this. No, well, you really froze yourself, but good. I got to be honest, the baby shtick on top of that, his trying to placate Elon Musk, thinking, everybody thinks, as an example, Ben, that you can placate or you can dictate through social media posts. Oh, I just got off the phone and I just texted and tweeted, to Elon saying, I don't understand why this is happening. Why isn't it happening? Because this is exactly what's going to happen. And by the way, Mike Johnson, he's not immune. Everybody thinks that they're immune. Lutnick thinks he's immune. MAGA Mike Johnson thinks he's immune. Nobody is immune. They're all, either you step in line with total fealty or you become gone when the shit hits the fan. Elon Musk is just the latest and the biggest because of his net worth. He's the latest version. But MAGA Mike Johnson, for the bullshit, the lying, the nonsense that comes out of that gaping anus under your nose, fuck you, moron.
And I think, to be clear, so everybody knows, I mean, Trump has a constant two-finger salute. And so you try to give it to people other than Donald Trump.
Yeah, I can't give it to him every time.
It would be too easy to give it to him every single show. One other thing I want to talk about, or maybe two other things quickly. Number one, did you notice that Columbia University is now going to lose being an accredited university after they bent the knee, sucked up to Donald Trump? Trump still ordered the Department of Education to go after them. And we're seeing that with the law firms that bent a knee to Donald Trump. You can't give in to this guy. He's never, this is the biggest understatement. He doesn't operate in good faith. Everything is a bad faith negotiation. And so when he deals with, and that's all he knows is bad faith negotiations, that he enjoys it. But he doesn't know how to do an actual deal that doesn't involve coercion or bad faith. I mean, you think about it too. You have like Europe and Canada, Australia, all these countries negotiating with Trump to try to reduce the tariffs. Then Trump raises the aluminum and steel tariffs from 25% to 50% while they're negotiating. And they're like, the whole point of these negotiations was to lower tariffs across the board. And now you're doing that. The other story I just want to highlight, and again, I don't want it to get lost in all of this, was that story out of Milford, Massachusetts, of Marcelo Gomes, 18-year-old kid. He was undocumented, but he tried to apply. He was just in that age range where he couldn't be classified as a dreamer. But he was living here, going to school, high school, was about to attend graduation, star volleyball player, and was going to be playing in the band. He got profiled by ICE. He got ripped from his high school, thrown in a detention center. And, all the people at Milford High School came out to support him. I was just seeing his girlfriend crying hysterically. And there's thousands of stories, tens of thousands of Marcelo Gomes stories around the country that are happening every single day right now. The Trump regime put a 3,000 person a day quota of deportations. And the way they're trying to meet that quota is by raiding restaurants, work sites, construction sites, waiting outside of courtrooms in the bushes, to basically, snatch people and disappear them. And, it's a very tragic thing to see that happening here, again, in the United States of America. And as I've said, we can walk and chew gum at the same time. We can talk, as we did on the show, about everything that happened with Musk and Trump. But we also should be talking still about Trump's disastrous tariffs, how that will be causing inflation. Musk is right. It is going to cause a recession in the second half of this year. And we're seeing all that data start to be, reflected. It's a slower build because you're still riding off of the manufacturing boom of Biden. And we can still talk about Donald Trump's disastrous mass deportation attempts. We can still talk about all of Donald Trump's threats to democracy. But a lot of breaking news here. Cohen, I was glad to break it all down with you here on Political Beatdown. I want to remind everybody, subscribe to Cohen's YouTube channel at The Michael Cohen Show. Subscribe to Cohen's Substack wherever.
Make sure you read that article that I wrote yesterday. Yeah, that's the article. It's a great
Subscribe to the Midas Touch Substack, the Mea Culpa audio podcast on all audio podcast devices. And patreon.com/political beatdown. Next week, you and I will do a Zoom. People were asking, how's my back doing? It's tough. I'm taking a lot of medication for it. It's an L5-S1 herniated disc. I'm doing what I can try to do to avoid surgery.
Hey, Ben, can I give a little plug out to the Midas Touch Network, please?
Yeah,
right.
Please.
As they're now slowly approaching 5 million followers. Extremely important. Extremely important. In fact, if you read my Substack of today, I talk about the 2026. If we don't win 2026, everything else is lost. So just imagine, Midas Touch Network has 5 million followers. And we ask each and every one of you, it's not hard, find one person who's not affiliated to Midas Touch Network, who hasn't either figured out, which is hard to believe, it's like, what rock are they living under? Or they just, they subscribe to too many different things. No, this is the place that you come to for facts, maybe a little humor from somebody like myself. And this is the place that you need to learn, that you need to be part of the community, to be part of the conversation. And then we be at 10 million. And then after that, you go to 20. The numbers, it's all a numbers game. Read my Substack and you'll understand what I'm saying. But please, share this network. Share all of the platforms. Mine, Legal AF, the Meiselas Brothers, all the platforms on Midas Touch Network. Share it with your family and your friends, because only through the numbers are we going to ensure that our democracy continues. And it's now up to you. You know, there's only so much one person can do. There's only so much that 5 people can do. But with you guys, we're unstoppable.
Let's keep on growing it. Share the word. Tell a few people a day, and that will grow this exponentially. Michael Cohen, thank you. Beatdown Brigaders, thank you. Remember the show with the brothers live tonight, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Shout out Beatdown Brigaders. Shout out Midas Mighty.
Boom.